Imagine standing on the high stone walls of an ancient city. Below, a wooden horse stands in the middle of the plain. It is huge, quiet, and strange. The enemy army that had surrounded the city for 10 long years is gone. The gates open, the people of Troy cheer and pull the horse inside the city, believing the war is finally over. But this gift is not what it seems. Hidden inside the horse are soldiers waiting for nightfall. This is the story of the Trojan Horse and the famous war between the Greeks and the Trojans, one of the most well-known tales from ancient times. The story of the Trojan War comes from ancient Greek myths and poems. The most famous poet to write about it was Homer, who lived over 2,700 years ago. He wrote 2 long poems called the Iliad and the Odyssey. The Iliad tells about the final days of the Trojan War. The Odyssey tells what happened afterward, including the journey of a Greek hero named Odysseus. According to the myth, the war began with a golden apple. At a wedding of the gods, the goddess Eris, who was not invited, threw a golden apple into the crowd. On it were the words, "For the fairest." 3 goddesses, Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena, argued over who deserved the apple. They asked a young prince named Paris from the city of Troy to choose. Each goddess offered him a gift. Aphrodite promised him the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris chose Aphrodite, and she helped him take a woman named Helen away from her home in Greece. But Helen was already married to a Greek king named Menelaus. When she was taken to Troy, the Greek kings and warriors gathered a huge army and set sail to bring her back. They attacked the city of Troy, starting a war that lasted 10 years. The city of Troy was strong. It had tall stone walls, brave warriors, and smart leaders. The Greeks tried to break through the gates, but they failed again and again. Many heroes fought on both sides. On the Greek side were famous warriors like Achilles, Odysseus, and Agamemnon. On the Trojan side were brave men like Hector and Aeneas. The fighting was fierce, and many stories were told about the battles. But the Greeks could not win by force, so they tried a trick. The idea came from Odysseus, who was clever and always thinking. He suggested building a large wooden horse as a gift to the Trojans. The Greeks would pretend to sail away, leaving the horse behind. Inside the horse, hidden, would be a small group of Greek soldiers. The Trojans, thinking the war was over and the horse a peace offering, would bring it inside the city walls. Then at night, the soldiers inside the horse would open the gates for the rest of the Greek army, who had secretly returned under cover of darkness. This trick became one of the most famous parts of the legend. The Trojans were unsure about the horse. One priest, Laocoon, warned them not to trust it. He is said to have shouted, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." But the Trojans didn't listen. They pulled the horse into the city and celebrated. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, the hidden Greek soldiers climbed out of the horse. They opened the gates, and the rest of the Greek army rushed in. Troy was caught by surprise. The city fell, and the war was over. The story of the Trojan horse reminds us that battles are not always won by strength alone. Sometimes clever ideas can change everything. Odysseus's plan is still told today as a lesson about thinking creatively and outsmarting your enemies. Historians are not sure if the Trojan War really happened the way the myths say, but they do believe that a city called Troy was real. In the 1800s, a man named Heinrich Schliemann discovered ruins in what is now Turkey. He believed it was the site of ancient Troy. Since then, archaeologists have found more clues that a great city once stood there, and that it may have been destroyed in a war long ago. Whether or not the story happened exactly as the poets told it, the tale of the Trojan War has lasted for thousands of years. It has inspired books, plays, paintings, and movies. It teaches us about bravery, loyalty, and the dangers of pride. It also shows how stories can travel through time, changing a little with each telling, but always staying powerful. Today, when someone says a Trojan horse, they may be talking about a trick, or even a computer virus that hides inside a fake file. But the idea comes from this ancient story, one wooden horse that carried more than anyone expected. The story of Troy is more than just a war story. It's about love, choices, cleverness, and consequences. It shows that even the strongest walls can fall, and that wisdom can sometimes do what weapons cannot. And it reminds us that stories, once shared, can live forever.